I do want to check in to North Carolina. Annelise Nielsen standing by. Annelise, you've had a few more minutes to speak to those in the room, and there was a positive reaction immediately. I'm sure they'd be pleased with the way their candidate went tonight.
Oh, look, they've been very happy in this room. And in particular, one of the things that the sense is this performance countered is this push from the Democrats to say, well, Joe Biden stepped down because he's older, and look how old Donald Trump is. He's a problem. Is J.D. Vance up to the challenge if something happens to Donald Trump because he's so old? And so what the feeling is from that performance, yes, is the answer from the people in this room. They feel like J.D. Vance looked very presidential. He looked confident. He was across the brief, across the policy, and he really did own the debate over Walz, who looked like he was a bit out of his depth. Now, again, we are in a room full of Republicans. I'm sure there'd be a different take in the room if we were in a room full of Democrats, but there were a few reasons that they really felt like J.D. Vance got the upper hand in that debate. And this is one of those moments. This is where Walz, when talking about gun policy, seemed to misspeak and say that he'd been a member of the NRA, and also said that he was friends with school shooters.
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it.
What we saw from J.D. Vance was he was very on top of managing how the debate ran. He was pushing back on the moderators around some of the rules of negotiating what happened, and he really took the front foot with Walz quite early on, which it seems like he had trouble rebounding from.
Honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you've simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens.
Kieran, to make these debates happen this time, because they almost didn't. They had to agree to a number of rules, including that there was no audience there, that they wouldn't speak over each other, they could have their microphones muted. This is one of the only instances I've seen from the 3 debates that have happened this year where the actual person doing the debate, the candidate themselves, managed to fact-check the moderators.
For our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you,
Margaret. The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on.
Kieran, that is a lawyer on that stage because he knew the rules and he was going to enforce them. And then the other thing that really is going to be the standout moment from this debate is Walz having to answer about this story that he's repeatedly said he was in Hong Kong when Tiananmen Square happened. He said this over a number of years in different contexts on the record, and it's now come out today. Of course, always interesting timing, but it's come out today that a newspaper in Nebraska had him in Nebraska on that day, and he had to admit on stage that he's prone to sometimes exaggerating these things, and he simply was not there.
Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in.